December 1st dawned with a soft mist over Snowberry Falls, the kind of fog that makes everything feel like an omen. The Christmas lights flickered weakly, as if they hadn't yet decided to commit to festive joy. Mariela Campos, 40 years old, full-time Pisces, magnetically curvy, and owner of the book café's sweet chapter, pushed the door open with her hip. The heating still hadn't woken up, so the air smelled like cold, roasted coffee, and decisions she very much wanted to avoid. She was greeted by her cat, Mariela, a white Turkish Angora with icy blue eyes, flawless fur, and the general attitude of a retired empress who has witnessed too much. "Good morning, Your Highness," Mariela muttered, dropping her keys. "I slept terribly, by the way. Nightmares, existential thoughts, various melodramas." Yes, I know, unbelievable." Mariela blinked, judgment embodied. Mariela turned on a few lamps, lit one of her own scented candles, this one named "Stop Thinking About Him," and then she saw it. A craft paper bag on the counter. "No," she whispered. "No, universe, don't start." The bag had a tag written in handwriting far too pretty to be real. From Mariela. From Destiny, premium mode. "Why premium? What did I do to deserve this?" she muttered. She opened the bag. Inside was a cosmic tarot-style advent calendar, elegant and golden, decorated with constellations, moons, dark flowers, and a title that did not promise emotional peace. "The Adventomantic, what December has already decided for you. Perfect." "A calendar informing me I don't even control my own month," Mariela said. Mariela gave a soft approving meow. Resigned, Mariela opened the slot for day 1 and read, "Today you'll find warmth where you least expect it. And it won't be the heating." Okay, what is that supposed to mean? A short circuit? An electrical failure? A hug from my future emotional self? But then, the bell over the door rang, and he walked in. Tom Reyes, 29, Scorpio. Not the dark movie villain type, more the quiet, deep kind with eyes that look like they understand too much. Thick black jacket, light-colored hair damp from the fog, and that calm stillness only people who think before speaking seem to have. He held his firefighter helmet in one hand. The warm steam of his breath formed clouds as he exhaled. "Good morning," he said, voice low and steady. The sound vibrated right down Mariela's spine. "Everything okay?" Tom asked, scanning the café with an analytical but gentle look. "I was walking by and saw smoke." Mariela pointed at the candle. "It's scented. I'm not setting anything on fire." For now, Tom stepped further inside. He didn't smile. But his eyes said things. Mariela jumped off the counter and walked toward him like an inspector of souls. Tom crouched slowly without any sudden movements. "Hey there, little one," he whispered, extending a hand. Mariela sniffed him, approved. Heard. Mariela blinked 3 times. "Excuse me, did my cat just hand you her soul?" Tom looked up at her. "I think she's just saying I'm not a threat." Mariela crossed her arms. "Of course he's a Scorpio. Read souls and cats. Sorry," he asked, still calm.
"Nothing," she said. "Pisces humor, survival mechanism." Tom stood up.
He was tall and warm, not just physically, emotionally too. He radiated a quiet, steady presence, like an internal fireplace. "I really came because I thought something might be happening," he said. "If you need to check the electrical system, I can help later. I'm quiet. I swear I won't interrupt." The thoughtfulness, the calm offer, zero arrogance, 100% silent intensity. Mariela tried not to melt. "I'm fine. It's just... December is starting weird." Tom tilted his head. "December always hides something. Sometimes something good." Mariela felt the Adventomantic staring at her from the counter like a co-conspirator. "Should I leave you to work?" Tom asked. "Sure," she replied, too quickly. Tom cast one last look at the calendar. "Nice design," he said. Mariela snapped it shut. "It's not nice. It's a cosmic stalker." For the first time, Tom smiled. Not big, not flashy. A tiny curve of the lips, but intense. "Whatever it says," he murmured. "I hope it brings you good things." Mariela blinked. "Why would you say that?" He shrugged. "Intuition." Tom walked toward the door. "I'll come back later." To help with the lights if you want. Before she could think, Mariela said, "Yes, I'd like that." Tom held her gaze for one of those long seconds that feels like a rehearsal for something bigger. "Then I'll see you later," he said, and left. The door closed. Marylena climbed onto the counter, stared at Mariela, and let out a deep purr. "What?" Mariela asked. "What does that purr mean?" The cat blinked. The Adventomantic dropped open the flap for day 2 all on its own. Mariela rubbed her forehead. "Oh no, here we go." The morning of December 2nd began the way typical Pisces mornings do, with Mariela trying to convince her soul to climb down from the clouds and get back inside her body. Snow fell softly, gently, like an unnecessary romantic filter the universe had activated without asking for permission. Capitulo Dolce smelled of freshly ground espresso, spiced bread, and Mariela's own candle creation called "I'm Not Falling in Love Again," probably a lie. Mariela, curled up in the armchair closest to the window, her tail wrapped around her body like a medieval queen surveying her kingdom. Still wearing dramatic under-eye bags, Mariela walked up to the Adventomantic. "All right, Chaos Oracle. Impress me." She opened the door for day 2. "Today you'll receive unexpected warmth. Don't pretend you don't need it." "Excuse me?" Mariela said, personally offended. Mariela lifted her head and let out a soft rumble that very clearly meant, "Yes, you do." Before Mariela could argue with her own cat, the bell over the door rang. And he came in. Tom Reyes, dark winter coat, gray scarf, and that kind of quiet stare that reads you without asking permission. He wasn't smiling, but he wasn't serious either. He was in that dangerous middle ground that said, "I know more than I say, and I say less than I think." He was holding 2 coffees. "Hi," he greeted, voice low. Mariela blinked. "You brought coffee?" "Yes," he said, stepping closer to the counter. "I thought you might want something hot. It's cold out." He held 1 cup out for her. Mariela took it. It was very warm. Too warm. "Ah, unexpected warmth. The universe is laughing at me hard. Thanks," she said, trying to sound normal. Tom placed the other cup on a nearby table and removed his scarf. Mariela jumped onto the chair as if she had been waiting specifically for that moment. Tom looked at the cat. "May I?"
he asked, offering his hand. Mariela sniffed him.
Then she purred and curled up in his lap. Mariela's eyes went wide. "No way, you've got something. Some kind of astral TikTok filter or something." "She doesn't do that with anyone." Tom stroked the cat with slow, precise movements. "I don't think it's magic. She just knows how to recognize her kind." "Her kind?" Mariela repeated, crossing her arms. Tom lifted his gaze to her slowly. "People who feel a lot," he said. Mariela experienced a micro-emotional heart attack. "Well," she said, clearing her throat, "here's your coffee." "In case you were cold." Tom tilted his head slightly. The silence that followed was strange, not awkward, just the kind that slips under your skin. He took a sip. "You decorated more things since yesterday," he noted, scanning the café. "Yes, I had." "A moment. Do you want help with the outdoor lights this afternoon?" Tom asked, straightforward but without pressure. Mariela felt a tug in her stomach. "Are you coming up with excuses to come back again?" "No," he said, calm as ever. "It's pretty obvious I want to come back." Mariela choked on her own breath. Tom waited, watching her with that intense, patient stare. "You like coming here, don't you?" she said, trying to regain ground. "Yes," he answered with disarming honesty. "It's peaceful, and you make it feel good." Mariela blinked multiple times. "Don't say things like that." "I melt." Tom gave her the smallest smile. "I'll say them carefully then." Mariela stretched a paw over his arm, approving the statement. Mariela exhaled. "Well, do you want to stay for a bit?" He set his coffee down. "Yes." Mariela walked back behind the counter, pretending she could act normal. "Anything else you want to drink?" Tom watched her for a long, steady second. "Yes," he finally said. "Whatever you recommend." The temperature in the cafe rose at least 5 degrees. "Gods," she muttered. "I cannot with Scorpios." Tom raised an eyebrow. "Did you say something?" "No," she replied way too quickly. "Nothing," while she prepared a special latte. He walked around the café with that calm, quiet presence that filled more space than he physically occupied. When he returned to the counter, he said softly, "By the way, if you ever need to talk about something, I can listen too." Mariela froze. "Listen to what?" "Whatever it is you're holding in." His voice carried no rush, no judgment, just truth. Mariela swallowed. "Oh no." An empathetic man. "I'm doomed. Are you coming this afternoon for the lights?" she asked, changing the subject. Tom nodded. "I'm coming." "Good, good," he echoed, as if the world adjusted itself around his voice. When Tom left, Marylena followed him with her eyes. Then looked at Mariela and purred deeply. "Don't look at me like that," Mariela sighed. "I'm not falling." The Adventomantic tipped itself over on the counter, as if saying, "Huh." December 3rd dawned with a silver sky and snowflakes falling so slowly it looked as if someone had put them in slow motion for aesthetic effect. Snowberry Falls was more Christmassy than ever, lights glowing even during the day, garlands on every door and a hot chocolate stand that opened earlier than the town hall. Mariela arrived at Capitulo Dulce clutching her coat and her thoughts. Marylena, as always, waited on the window seat with an expression that said, "Tell me the drama, human." "No," Mariela said before the cat could make a sound. "I'm not talking about the mysterious Scorpio who looked at me last night like he could see behind my soul." Mariela blinked. Translation: speak now. "And I'm not reading the calendar's prediction. That's exactly what it wants, to manipulate me. I'm far too Pisces for that kind of magic." The Adventomantic made a tiny crack. The door for day 3 opened by itself. "Are you serious?" Mariela asked, personally offended. The card read, "Something unresolved will return." "Don't run this time." Mariela dropped her forehead onto the counter. "Don't run," it says. "You're breaking my heart. Calendar." Mariela hopped off the chair and walked toward the door. Just as the bell rang, and he walked in. Tom Reyes, heavy winter jacket, that kind of presence that enters without noise but fills the room without asking. "Hi," he said. Mariela answered, "Hi," far too quickly. Tom studied her face for a second, as if he could read something there. "Bad day?" he asked. Mariela raised her hands. "No, or yes, or I don't know." Tom gave one of those barely there smiles, just a tiny curve of the lips, but far too much for her nervous system. "I came to bring you this," he said, pulling something from his pocket. A glove. The glove Mariela had lost the afternoon before while decorating. She opened her mouth. "You kept it?" "Yes," he said, simple and sincere. "I figured you'd need it." A wave of warmth hit her. "Thank you." Tom moved closer to the counter. Mariela jumped onto the stool beside him as if reserving a seat. Tom stroked her with 2 fingers, gentle. "Can I stay for a minute?" he asked. "You can stay for as many minutes as you want," Mariela said, and then quickly added, "I mean, if you want. Like, not that coffee. I'll make you coffee." Tom let out a very low laugh. "The kind that doesn't make noise but vibrates?" Mariela began preparing a latte to keep herself from combusting. "You slept badly," he observed. "What? No, I slept average," she said. Tom looked at her. Just looked. With that silent, deep intensity that makes anyone confess things they didn't plan to. "Okay," Mariela admitted. "I slept terribly." Tom tilted his head. "Do you want to talk about it?" "No," she replied way too fast. "That's fine," he said without pressuring her. "Exactly. Perfectly. The Scorpio calm that melts a Pisces." She handed him the coffee. "Here." He wrapped his hands around the cup. "Thanks. And you? Are you having anything?" "I'm fine," she lied. He glanced at her hands. "You're trembling a bit." Mariela wanted to evaporate. "It's the cold." Tom shook his head slowly. "No, just that. One word." The softest denial in the world. Her defenses began dissolving. She sat down across from him. Tom waited. That quiet patience only people unafraid of silence possess. Eventually she spoke. "Yesterday. I felt comfortable with you, and that scared me." Tom didn't look surprised. "I noticed," he said honestly. "And when something matters to me, I go into terrified fish mode." Tom rested his elbows on the counter. "I'm not here to rush you." Mariela swallowed. "I know. And that makes it worse." "Why?" he asked gently without judgment. Because you're... She searched for words. Calm, present, quietly intense. And I feel too much, everything, all the time. Tom nodded slowly. Then we understand each other well. Mariela looked at him. He held her gaze, not invading. Not looking away. I'm not going to pressure you, Tom said. But I'm also not going to pretend I don't feel what I feel, Mariela inhaled. At that moment, the cafe door swung open abruptly. It was Hannah, one of the local committee members for everyone else's business. Mariela, do you have gingerbreado? She spotted Tom. Hi, Tom. Tom greeted her with a simple nod. Hannah smiled like she had just seen a new episode of her favorite show. Well, I'll leave you two alone, she sang. Mariela clenched her jaw. Tom looked at her calmly. I don't care what people say, he said. I do, Mariela replied softly. It affects me, Tom nodded. Then we'll go slow. Something opened inside her. Small, delicate. Okay, she whispered. Slow. Tom stood. I'll see you this afternoon, he said in that low voice that slipped right under her skin. Yes, she replied. Tom left. Marylena hopped onto the counter. Mariela collapsed over her arms. I'm doomed, she whispered. The Adventomantic shifted with a non-existent breeze. The door for day 4 lifted on its own. Mariela sighed. You really aren't going to give me a break, are you? December 4th arrived with that silent kind of snow that seems to fall slower just so people look out the window and sigh. Snowberry Falls glowed with warm lights reflecting off frozen window panes. On the porch of Capitulo Dulce, Mariela was standing on a folding ladder in the middle of a battle with a rebellious string of lights, half of it lit up. The other half flickered like it was possessed. All right, this is not personal, she told the garland. I promise not to cry if you don't cry either. Mariela, sitting on the lowest step, watched her with a face that clearly said, this will end badly. Yes, I know, Mariela muttered. My technical skills are on the same level as my romantic decision-making, the ladder creaked. Too much. Great, Mariela whispered. Perfect scene for a hot guy to appear out of nowhere. As if the universe listened, the bell from the inside door chimed. She turned her head, and he was there. Tom Reyes, carrying that quiet calm that seemed to wrap around him like a second skin. Hi, he said. Low voice. Soft, direct, Mariela almost lost her balance. Why do you always show up at dangerous moments? She asked. It's my natural charm, Tom replied, stepping closer. He looked at the ladder. Do you want to come down? No, I'm perfectly fine, Mariela lied. The ladder creaked again. Tom raised an eyebrow. Mariela, she sighed. Okay, maybe I need a little help. He stepped in, placed a firm hand on the ladder to steady it. Come down slowly, he said. His voice was so calm that she descended without arguing. When she was 2 steps from the ground, Mariela lost her balance again, and Tom caught her by the waist. His touch wasn't rough. It was warm, steady, enough to hit her with an emotional punch straight to the stomach. Tom murmured, I've got you. Mariela inhaled sharply. Don't say it like that, she whispered. Like what? Like that intense. Tom helped her step off the ladder fully, but didn't step away. Let me see that garland, he said, climbing the ladder with efficiency. From below, Mariela watched him with crossed arms. Don't play the hero. I'm not, he said, adjusting a bulb. Just helping. Mariela puffed out her cheeks. I'm not used to people helping me. Tom stepped down 1 rung. Then get used to it. I can do that. A small crack opened inside her. While Tom adjusted the wires, the snow began to fall harder, collecting on his scarf. Why are you like this? Mariela asked from below. Tom looked down. Like what? So calm. So sure. So you understand me? Tom stepped down another rung. I understand you. The phrase fell between them like a spark. Mariela swallowed. Sometimes it's too much. Tom reached the last rung. Then tell me if you want me to stop. Silence. The real kind. Snow, air, porch, everything paused. Mariela answered, very softly. I don't want you to stop. Tom stepped down to the ground. They stood very close. Too close.
He said quietly, good. A pull tightened in her chest. Tom extended a hand. Can I?
He asked, barely touching a strand of her hair. The brush was almost electric. Mariela nodded. He tucked the strand behind her ear slowly, carefully.
His fingers grazed her cheek.
Mariela went still, breath trapped in her throat. Tom's eyes dropped to her lips, slowly, very slowly. I want to kiss you, he said, no embellishments, no rush. A soft confession, clear, disarming. Mariela felt an entire volcano ignite inside her. Tom, she whispered. Tom tilted his head a little. I won't do it if you don't want me to. But I'm not going to pretend I don't want to. Mariela was just about to answer when Marylena jumped toward the top of the ladder, knocking it. The ladder shook. Mariela stumbled backward. Tom caught her again. What is wrong with you? Mariela yelled at the cat. Marylena sat with offended dignity. Tom rested his forehead against Mariela's, laughing softly. I think your cat has a very strong sense of timing, he whispered. She has a pact with chaos, Mariela replied. Are you okay? Tom asked, still holding her. Yes, she said, heart racing. He stepped back just a little. I want to do this right. I don't want to rush you, Mariela swallowed. You're not rushing me. He brushed the edge of her jaw with his thumb just barely. Then there will be a moment. Not now, but it will come. Heat spread through Mariela's whole body. Okay, she whispered. The snow kept falling as they finished hanging the lights. When Tom plugged in the garland, the whole porch lit up with a warm golden glow. Mariela looked at him. Tom looked at her. And for the first time, the idea of danger stopped scaring her. Thank you, Mariela said. For nothing, Tom replied. I like helping you, Mariela rubbed against his legs. Traitor, Mariela muttered. Tom laughed. See you tomorrow, he said. Yes. As Tom walked away under the falling snow, Mariela felt something inside her shift. Something small, but deep. And the Adventomantic inside the cafe dropped the door for day 5 as if saying, get ready. December 5th dawned with a faint, almost shy sun that barely managed to cut through the icy fog covering Snowberry Falls. The streets bustled, with the Christmas market, where every neighbor had an opinion, a treat, or a piece of gossip to share. Mariela opened Capitulo Dulce later than usual. It wasn't that she had slept badly, it was that she had slept thinking. Thinking too much. Don't look at me like that, she told Mariela, who was sprawled across the counter. I didn't do anything wrong. Mariela narrowed her eyes. Okay, maybe I did something wrong. But just a little, Mariela muttered. And I'm not talking about it. She started making coffee, hoping the noise from the machine would drown out her thoughts. But then she saw the Adventomantic. The slot for day 5 was slightly open, as if it were looking at her. I know I have to read you, she huffed. Don't give me that passive-aggressive tone. She opened the slot. Beware of what doesn't come from you, Mariela frowned. Cryptic and critical. Great, Mariela gave a meow that sounded like focus. But before she could analyze it further, the doorbell chimed. In walked Cheryl and Anita, the official carriers of unsolicited information. Mariela, sweetheart, 2 cappuccinos, Anita requested. Mariela prepared them, trying to ignore the inevitable. Oh, did you hear about Tom? Cheryl asked loudly. Very loudly. What about Tom? Anita asked, eyes sparkling. Mariela's back tensed. They say, Cheryl began, leaning in, that he was seen last night hanging lights with Mariela. Very close. Oh, don't tell me, Anita gasped, clutching her chest. With such a handsome man, Cheryl nodded vigorously. And he's so young. Too young for her. A 40-year-old woman should look for stability, Anita added. Not a 29-year-old who knows what he wants. Mariela felt her heart shrink. Something in her chest turned to ice. Cheryl delivered the final blow. That boy can't want something serious, and even less with someone who, well, has already lived. Mariela inhaled slowly, deeply, painfully. She didn't argue. She didn't defend herself. She just handed them their coffees, smiling as if she hadn't heard a thing. When they left, Mariela climbed onto the counter and rested her head against Mariela's hand. It's fine, Mariela whispered. It's fine, she lied, terribly. The bell rang again, and this time it was him, Tom, not in his work jacket. in a dark coat with attentive eyes. Eyes that were searching. "Hi," he said softly. Mariela pressed her lips together.
Hi.
Tom frowned just slightly, reading something in her posture. "I brought you this," he said, setting a spiced hot chocolate on the counter. "I saw the stand and thought you might like it." Mariela swallowed hard. "Thanks? But you didn't have to." Tom tilted his head, assessing. "Are you okay?" "Perfect," she said with a smile so fake it should have been fined. Tom took one step closer. "Mariela." "Not today," she interrupted. He stopped. "Not today what?" "Not today this, not today you, not today." "Anything." Her voice trembled. Tom looked at her with a calm that wasn't indifference. It was care, caution, gentleness. "Did I do something?" he asked softly. Mariela shook her head. "No, I just don't want complications. I can't, you're..." She took a deep breath. "You're too young, too intense." "Too everything." Tom held her gaze. "Did someone say something?" he asked. She closed her eyes. "Tom, no. I don't want to talk about that." He nodded slowly. "All right. I won't force it." He leaned in a little, trying to understand. "But if this is fear..."
Tell me.
Mariela shook her head again. "I don't want complications." Tom pressed his lips together. He wasn't angry. Just hurt, subtly, deeply. "Mariela," he said in a low voice. "I don't run. I'm not someone who comes and goes. But if you need space, I'll give it to you." She barely looked at him. "I need not to feel like I'm doing something ridiculous." Tom's eyes burned not with anger, with clarity. "You're not ridiculous," he said. "But if you need time to believe that, I respect it." Mariela looked away. "Thank you." Tom stepped back just a little. "I'll be here. If you want to talk." His voice broke just slightly, barely a whisper. "If you want to see me." And he left. No drama, no slammed door. Just a silence that hung in the air like drifting snow. Mariela placed her hands on the counter. Marivilla climbed up and nudged her forehead against her. Mariela hugged her. "I know," she whispered. "I know." The Adventomantic let out a soft click. The slot for day 6 tilted as if saying, "Ready to face the truth." Mariela sighed. "Looks like I don't have a choice." December 6th dawned with the kind of cold that seeps through the cracks of the soul. Snowberry Falls was decorated as if a film crew had decided to shoot a Christmas movie there. But Mariela felt none of that beauty. There was no music, no candles, no ritual of opening the café while dancing between the shelves. Marivilla watched her from her custom cardboard box, looking like a therapist who charges by the session. "I'm not going to think about him," Mariela said, turning on the coffee machine. Marivilla blinked. "Okay, I'm going to think about him. But I'm not going to act on it." The cat stretched and dropped a paw over the Adventomantic. Mariela sighed. "Day 6. Let's see what emotional disaster you've got for me." She opened the slot. "What you keep quiet will be heard. Even if you're not the one who speaks." Mariela let her head fall onto the counter. Perfect. A passive-aggressive prediction. As she prepared orders, she kept glancing at the door every few minutes. Tom didn't show up, which, in theory, should have calmed her. But the truth was that anxiety was devouring her. Until she saw movement outside. Not many people. No cheerful group, just one single person. "No," Mariela whispered. "It can't be." It was Hannah, the gossiping neighbor, walking straight toward the café with purpose. She entered without asking permission, because Hannah was like that. "Mariela, darling, we need to talk," she said. "I'm busy," Mariela lied, making a latte nobody had ordered. Hannah leaned on the counter. "I feel bad." "Then drink ginger tea." "No, I feel bad for you." "For what I said yesterday." Mariela stopped. "Hannah, I shouldn't have talked about Tom like that," she said, biting her lip. "And it's not because I suddenly changed my mind, okay? It's because someone asked me to come." Mariela felt a small earthquake under her ribs. "Who?" The door opened. And there was Tom, not like the public scene of a romantic movie. No loudspeakers, no speeches. Just him, quiet, steady, in "I'm going to fix this, but not your way" mode. "It was me," he said softly. Hannah, uncomfortable, grabbed her purse. "Well, I've done my part. Bye." And she left, abandoning them alone. Mariela took a deep breath, bracing for a hurricane. But no hurricane came. He approached, walking slowly. Without hurry, without invading. I didn't come to pressure you, Tom said, stopping a meter away from her. I came because I don't want you to think you're alone in this. Mariela felt her eyes grow wet. Tom, I didn't mean to hurt you. I'm not hurt by you, he replied gently. I'm hurt by the things they said. Because you believe them. She pressed her lips together. I can't help it. Tom tilted his head slightly. A woman who feels a lot isn't a fragile woman. She's an honest one. Mariela lowered her gaze. I'm scared. So am I, he answered without hesitation. She looked up surprised. Tom stepped closer. I'm scared you'll think you don't deserve something good. I'm scared you'll run. I'm scared you'll let me in. And then hide. But even so, his voice softened even more. I'm still here. Mariela felt her heart tremble. I didn't mean to push you away, she whispered. I just heard things. Tom moved a little closer. Do you want to know what matters more to me than rumors? Mariela nodded before she could think. Tom raised his hand slowly and brushed her cheek with his knuckles. What you feel when nobody else is talking. Mariela closed her eyes for a moment. The touch was soft, warm, too much. Tom murmured. Look at me, she obeyed. His eyes were a dark, calm, deep ocean. If you don't want this, say it, he said. But if you want it, even a little, even just the idea of what it could be, I'm not going to let the voices of others decide for you. Mariela felt something break inside, but not in a bad way. In an opening up way. Tom, she whispered, I want it. But it scares me. He leaned his forehead lightly against hers. Then we'll go together, at your pace. But don't push me away because others don't understand what your hands feel like when they touch mine. Mariela exhaled. I didn't know Scorpios said things like that. Tom gave the smallest smile. Only when the person matters, she laughed quietly. And cried quietly too. He held her without invading, without pushing. Just held. When they separated, she said, Forgive me, not for doubting, Tom said. For believing you were alone. Mariela wiped her tears. What now? Tom observed her with calm intensity. Now, we keep opening the slots. But together, Mariela felt something big shift inside her. And when Tom took her hand, interlacing their fingers with a delicacy that melted her, she didn't pull away. So, you're staying? She murmured. Tom lowered his voice to a whisper. I already stayed. The Adventomantic. On the counter, let the slot for day 7 drop open. Mariela laughed through her tears. That calendar is a busybody. Tom pulled her gently closer. It does good work. He didn't kiss her. Not yet. He just rested his forehead against hers and said, Tomorrow. Mariela closed her eyes. She felt peace. Tomorrow, she echoed. December 7th dawned wrapped in a soft, almost choreographed snowfall that turned Snowberry Falls into a postcard. The Christmas lights flickered as if they were blinking with excitement, and the scent of hot chocolate filled the air with an almost exaggerated warmth. Inside Chapter Suite, the light was soft and golden, and the heat from the stove fogged the windows. Marylena slept curled up in her official queen box, while Mariela prepared 2 cups of hot chocolate. 2, because she knew he would come. Not because he had said so, but because she felt it. Pisces intuition plus emotional chaos with extrasensory powers. The bell chimed. And there he was.
Tom Reyes dark coat, gray scarf.
But what he carried most was that quiet Scorpio calm that spoke louder than any speech. Hi, he said, a simple word. But in his voice, in his eyes, in his presence, it held weight. Mariela smiled slowly. Hi, Tom walked closer, not fast. Not urgently, slowly, like someone who knows exactly where he belongs. Are you okay? He asked. Mariela nodded. Yeah, better than yesterday. Tom set his gloves on the table. Good, he said warmly. She motioned to the sofa. I made you hot chocolate. Indulgent version. Tom smiled just a little. Perfect. They sat together, knee to knee. Shoulders almost touching. Mariela stood and walked toward them with her usual authority. She looked at Tom, then at Mariela, then settled shamelessly in his lap. Tom stroked her. I always knew you were the boss, he told the cat. Mariela sighed. I'm replaced by a cardboard box and a mysterious Scorpio. Mysterious, yes, Tom said. Cardboard box, no. Mariela let out a soft laugh. Tom watched her. Mariela? There's something I want to say, her heart prepared for emotional acrobatics. Tell me. Tom set his cup down. I don't want you to feel like you have to be strong with me, he said. I don't want you to hide what you feel. I'm not going to get scared. Mariela looked at him. Really looked, without running. And I, she whispered, don't want to listen to other people's voices before my own ever again. Tom extended his hand, very slowly. She took it. Their fingers fit together as if they'd been rehearsing it for years. Tom pulled her closer, just a little. Can I?
He asked. That word in his voice was a caress.
Mariela didn't need to think.
Yes, Tom kissed her, slowly, deeply, without hurry. It wasn't a kiss to check if there was chemistry.
That was already more than clear. It was a kiss that said, I'm here. I'm not going to run. Come with me if you want. Mariela held on to his coat. Tom wrapped an arm around her back, drawing her closer. The world shrank to the warmth between them. When the kiss finally ended because biology insisted they stayed forehead to forehead, this, Tom murmured, doesn't depend on a calendar. Mariela smiled. I know, Marylena meowed, reminding them she was still present. Mariela laughed. Relax, witch.
He's not taking your job. Tom stroked the cat's back once more. I never could. Mariela looked at him.
Tom, thank you. For staying, he interlaced their fingers more firmly. I had no intention of leaving. Outside, the snow kept falling. Slow, white. Inside, there was warmth and hot chocolate. A satisfied cat. And two people who, for the first time in a long time, weren't afraid of the next step. Mariela rested her head on his shoulder. Do you think the Adventomantic finished its job? Tom wrapped an arm around her waist. I think it did. The calendar on the counter moved as if touched by a breeze. The slot for day 7 closed softly. Mariela smiled. Well, now it's our turn. Tom kissed her temple. Together. And so, with snow falling outside and true calm inside, December stopped being scary. Because for the first time in a long time, Mariela didn't have predictions. She had choice. Christmas Eve arrived in Snowberry Falls with the kind of cold that crackles under your boots. The lights looked like stars trapped between the pine branches, and Aunt Selena's house on the outskirts of town shone as if it were competing in a holiday contest, and winning by a landslide. The facade was covered in garlands in wine and gold tones. Fake candles flickered in every window, and from the doorway came a smell so intense of cinnamon and nutmeg that not even Santa Claus would have dared to criticize it. Are you sure you're ready for this? Mariela whispered, adjusting her coat. Tom, beside her, took her hand in a calm, steady gesture. I've faced fires. How bad can your family be?
said Mariela.
Come inside and say that again. When they opened the door, they were greeted by an explosion of warmth, voices, laughter, and the smell of homemade food. Aunt Selena's house was an emotional Christmas explosion, candles everywhere, garlands hanging from the ceiling, a tree that looked like a Baroque art piece, and a table. Oh, the table. The Christmas table was long, made of dark varnished wood, covered with an embroidered tablecloth full of stars, moons, and red flowers. On top of it, an impeccable setup, hand-painted ceramic plates with astrological motifs, napkins wrapped in golden constellation rings, ruby-red crystal goblets, and a giant centerpiece full of candles, pine branches, pomegranates, and dried flowers. And the menu? Absolutely excessive. Creamy pumpkin soup with ginger, honey orange glazed turkey, spiced butter mashed potatoes, rosemary roasted carrots, freshly baked cranberry rolls, homemade cranberry sauce with red wine. And for dessert, a tower of Christmas cookies with gold icing and tiny sugar crystals. Mariela muttered. Selena put glitter on the cookies again. Great, my colon thanks you. Tom smiled. Marivilla, of course, was there. Auntie had brought her, because a feline spirit purifies the house's energy. The cat strutted around like she owned the place. When everyone was seated, Aunt Selena appeared from the kitchen, velvet red dress, star-shaped earrings, a sequined coat no one understood, and a smile that predicted trouble. "My favorite Pisces girl," she sang, hugging Mariela. "You only have one Pisces girl, Aunt. That's why you're my favorite," Selena said, winking. Then she turned to Tom. "And you must be the energetic Scorpio. Welcome to the family." Tom nodded politely. "Thank you for having me." Of course, you were already written in," Selena said mysteriously. Mariela frowned. "Written where, Aunt Selena?" Selena smiled far too innocently. "In my Christmas predictions, dear." "Now, sit." Dinner unfolded with exaggerated anecdotes. Cousin Nora crying over an ex from 5 years ago, and Uncle Denver making a toast every 10 minutes for absolutely anything. Until the final toast arrived. Selena stood, glass in hand. "My dear family, today we celebrate love, magic, and well-executed plans." Everyone applauded. Mariela narrowed her eyes. "What plans, Aunt?" Selena smiled with all her teeth. "Yours, darling." She pulled a large box from under the table. A golden box, covered in painted stars. Mariela straightened. "No, Selena, no." "Oh yes," her aunt replied. Tom watched with Scorpio calm, clearly deducing things. Selena opened the box. Inside was the Adventomantic. Mariela choked on a gasp. It was you." All the cousins tilted their heads like they were watching a live theater performance. Selena raised her hands proudly. "Of course it was me, my girl." "Who else? You needed a little push from the universe. I just channeled it." Mariela covered her face. "I cannot believe this." "Oh, please," Selena replied. "You wouldn't have talked to this boy before 2035 without help." The uncles laughed. Tom took Mariela's hand under the table. She looked at him.
He murmured, "I adore her." "Do not adore her," Mariela whispered, horrified.
Selena continued. "I ordered the calendar. I programmed it with a little soft magic, a pinch of Pisces energy, and my best intentions. I left it in your cafe so destiny could take over from there." Tom lifted his glass. "Well, thank you, Selena." Mariela stared at him like he'd lost his mind. "What are you doing?" "Don't encourage her." Tom leaned in. "If it weren't for her, we wouldn't be here." She opened her mouth to protest. But he brushed her cheek gently with his hand. "And I don't regret it," he whispered. Mariela felt heat all the way up to her eyelashes. Selena tapped the table. "All right, young lovers, it's time for the family photo." Mariela rolled her eyes, but she smiled. Because among all the lights, homemade food smells, family chaos, and shared laughter, being there with him felt exactly the way it was supposed to feel. Marylena meowed from her spot on the armchair. Aunt Selena raised her glass. "To love that arrives exactly when it's meant to, and to the most effective calendar in the universe." Everyone toasted. Mariela hid her face in Tom's shoulder. "I'm going to kill her." Tom smiled, kissing her temple softly. "No, you're going to hug her," Mariela sighed. "Yeah, maybe." And amid the laughter, the snow falling outside, and the golden glow in every corner, the truth came out. Aunt Selena had pulled the strings, but they had done the rest. And that was the only thing that mattered.
And if you enjoyed this story, subscribe and go watch another one.